Hey guys, I'm Jordan and you're watching Fixbook. After watching this video, your car problems stand about as much a chance as this laptop does against my hot lead. Now, make sure you stay tuned so you can see what happened to the laptop at the end of this video. And as always, don't forget to subscribe, like, and leave a comment down below. So today I'm going to be showing you how to replace your radiator in your Ford F150. This one is a 97 with a 5.4 liter engine V8. It's also 2-wheel drive. Alright guys, and in today's project I use a flashlight, a 3/8 ratchet with an extension, an 8mm and 10mm socket, a pair of pliers, a 16mm combination wrench, a flathead screwdriver, a Phillips head screwdriver, and a very long pair of pliers. You'll also need a drain pan and new coolant to replenish the coolant that you drain out during your project. And with all that said, we'll go ahead and begin today's project. Okay guys, and the first thing we're going to do is we got to remove this plastic piece right here. It's hiding your radiator. And basically we have these little things right here, and you're going to have a total of 8 of them. They're going to be there, and here. And I've left one here to show you what we're going to do here. And basically you got these little plastic screws. You're just going to kind of go up and unscrew them, and then you'll be able to just take this little plastic screw out like so, and then you'll take a flathead screwdriver and you'll lift up and you'll pull, and that'll undo your thing here. So once you've got all this done, you can go ahead and we can pick up on our piece here and just set them off to the side. Okay guys, and the next thing we're going to want to do is we're going to want to drain the coolant. So I'm going to come over here to the coolant reservoir, and if your car is hot, you may not want to do this because boiling hot coolant may come up and hit you right in the face, and you don't want that. So I'm going to do that, and then we're going to come over here and we're going to come down right here and undo our drain thing. Basically that twist lefty loosey, and then you can see right where my finger's at, right there at the side of that piece right there. That's where it's going to drain. And you can take pliers if you can't do it with your hands. So go ahead and get your drain pan, stick it right under there about where the drain thing's going to be, and once it starts to drain, you may want to reach down there and just kind of push your pan there to make sure it's catching all that hot coolant. So yeah, go ahead and drain all your coolant. We're going to want the coolant out before we actually go to replace our radiator. And there we go, it's draining now. I went ahead and undid my thing there. That's what it's going to look like once you've got it done. And I couldn't do it with my hands alone, so I had to grab a pair of pliers there to twist that guy lefty-loosey in order to get him draining. So that's what it's going to look like, and we'll see over here. You can see it's kind of pouring out to the side there. And it's also coming from the actual threaded piece as well, so it's coming out from both places there. Alright guys, now the next thing we're going to do is we want to get this fan shroud off. So to do that, we're going to get this piece out of our way because it'll make it easier to pull it up off there. Now what you're going to do is you're going to take a flathead screwdriver, you're going to come way over here. There's a flathead screw right there you can do to loosen up, so I'm just going to get on them and just loosen that guy up a bit. There's also a flathead screw right here you want to loosen up, so we're going to go and loosen that guy as well. And then I'm going to come over here, take this guy off. Also you're going to unplug this electrical connector. It's just a squeeze and pull, and we're going to set him off to the side. Then I'm going to pull this guy up off here, and I'm just going to take my metal piece off, and actually we'll leave that on. But I'll go ahead and pull this whole piece off right here, and I'll set him off to the side. And then we'll be able to just kind of pull this guy off, and then I'll just set him off here to the side too. Now we can see we'll have a better chance of pulling this plastic fan shroud out of the way. Okay guys, and the next thing we want to do is we want to get this fan shroud off. So we've got 2 fasteners, 8mm fasteners. There's one sitting right there, and then on the other side we've got one sitting right there. So go ahead and remove those 2 fasteners, and then we'll see about getting our plastic fan shroud off. Alright guys, and once you've removed those 2 8mm bolts, we'll just go ahead and pick up our fan shroud, and we'll get them out of our way here. And it's going to look something like that. And basically, the idea here is we just want this out of the way so we can essentially pull the radiator up out and put the new radiator in. That's how it's supposed to work here in theory. Now, the next thing you also want to do too is go ahead and loosen up that flathead screw, just in right there, the hose clamp, and then we'll go ahead and pull our hose clamp off. And if it's drained all the way, then you may not have much come out. And that may allow us to move around a little bit more. But it's not going to look like you're going to be able to pull this guy out. But so long as we can pull our radiator up and out and put our new one in, that's all you're trying to do. So that's what we're going to do. Okay, and the next thing we'll do here is we're going to need to remove these transmission fluid lines. And we've got one right there, we've got one down there at the bottom. And you can take a 16mm combination wrench, lefty-loosey these guys, I'm pulling them right out. And also, we have a coolant hose right here. And it looks like, yeah, you're going to take some pliers. And let's see if I can get the light on there for you. Yeah, take some pliers and pull that off and get that hose off as well. And then we just got that lower radiator hose there as well. So we're going to remove these 4 items: that coolant hose, the 2 transmission lines, and the lower radiator line or coolant hose there. So once we get those off, I'll show you. If anything is difficult here, I'll show you how to remove those and we'll continue our project. Hey guys, here's one difficulty I ran into. This hose right here, once I got the clamp off, it didn't necessarily just want to come right off by just pulling on it. So what you can do is take a pair of pliers. It'll be really easy with the hose there because you're going to reuse it and just kind of rock it back and forth there to kind of break that connection it has on there. And then we'll reach in, it'll be a little bit easier to pull off by doing it that way. Now, when I went to take off that transmission line, I noticed that I basically just loosened up the big piece here. So what I did was I took a pair of pliers and put it on that nut looking thing right there, and then put my 16mm on this thing right here where my pliers are sitting. So this was here, and my combination wrench sitting right there was on there. So I held this and then I lefty-loosey that out. If not, this thing right here was just spinning. So now I'm going to go ahead and get down below and work on the same thing I did up here, just do it down there, which is probably going to be quite a bit more difficult. And here, I just wanted to show you that I came down here just with my combination wrench, and thank God that little piece there didn't move on me, so I didn't have to reach down there with my pliers. So I just kind of pulled that line out, and now we just have that hose clamp for that lower coolant hose there, and we just gotta get the hose clamp out of the way, and then we'll go ahead and pull that hose off, and we're almost about to go ahead and pull this radiator out. Alright, and one more note here. I was showing you that lower radiator hose and that clamp right there. Now they make a special tool where you can reach a wire and this little claw thing and stick it on there and then squeeze up top. I don't have that tool right now, so I'm gonna skip that, and what I'm gonna try and do is I'm gonna go ahead and remove our 2 radiator mounting guys here. I'm gonna try and pull our radiator up a little bit so I can get that in a better situation to where I might be able to take that hose clamp off better. But once you get that hose clamp and that bottom hose off, then all we gotta do is we gotta remove these 2 bolts, and then we'll start pulling up here. We'll get the bracket out of the way, because basically this radiator has 4 things here. And actually, I'll go ahead now and take you over to the new radiator and show you what I'm talking about. This is our new radiator, and this is what I'm talking about. We got these 4 little pegs, one here, and you know they're at every corner. We got one there and one there, and basically this would be the top of your radiator, and we've got those 2 brackets holding on those 2 pegs right there. So once you remove those brackets, then you just pick the radiator up out of the other brackets, and that's why we just have we got the 1, 2, 3, 4 connections on this side, and just the 1 connection on this side, and this is, of course, is your drain piece right here. So that's how we're going to go about doing it. Now I'll show you removing those brackets. Alright, and now I'm just going to remove our 2 bolts. They're 10mm bolts. I already broke them loose here, and I'm just going to zap them off. There we go. I got this little piece of off to the side, and now this bracket should just gonna come right off. Just work them here a little bit, and there we go. So now our radiator's just sitting there, and I'm gonna do the other side, and it'll only be held on by that hose. Hopefully you've already got yours off, and then we'll just pull this guy right out of here. Now, when you go to remove your radiator, if you notice when you're pulling the brackets off, it was kind of stuck on there. So, in order to remove the radiator, what you're going to need to do is kind of pull up and rock back and forth at the same time to kind of work it out of that rubber piece there. So, we can see I've got my other side out, and then we just kind of wiggle around and rock it off there. Now, I've got it off of both of my mounts, but I just need to get that hose off. So I'm going to get that hose off, and then I'll show you what it looks like when we pull our radiator right out. And then it's pretty much as simple as dropping the new one in. Okay guys, so I'm still here fighting with this clamp, and One thing I tried to do is I got me some big pliers, and I got some 16-inch pliers from Harbor Freight. And like I was telling you earlier, they sell a tool with the claw, and it's got a wire connected to it, and you can squeeze it. That would really be the best thing to do. You can try and do that. I tried my hardest here with these pliers, and I'm still unable to fight with it real well. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and remove this coolant reservoir. Got a bolt there and a bolt up in there. I'll take that off, and then I'll probably be able to get to my hose clamp that way. So if you're struggling like I am, I know if that clamp was positioned in a better way, I would be able to get to it with these pliers. So you may or may not have to do this extra step, but if you do, you can remove this coolant reservoir and you'll be able to get to that clamp better. So that's how I'm going to go about taking that clamp off there. So next we'll finally show taking the radiator out. One more thing here, guys. I was telling you about removing that reservoir, and once you remove it, that's what it's going to look like. There's also a hose, so just remember, there's a little clamp. You'll just reach down, pull that, and pull that hose off in addition to those two bolts. And then, as we can see, now the access to that clamp will be a lot better with the guy gone there, that coolant reservoir gone. Okay, guys, so I was finally able to get that hose off. Now I'm going to go in, and basically there shouldn't be nothing else to hold on to, so I'm going to make sure my fan shroud is out of my way. Then I'm going to go in and begin picking up on it. And like I was saying earlier, you need to make sure you kind of pick and work this radiator off those rubber boots. If you don't, it's not just going to pick up this easy. I say that because some of you guys may have just skipped to this part, and I told you about that before. So if you missed that, you may want to go back to the beginning of the video where I was showing that part. And a mud dauber has made home here. Our light is fading, everything's going crazy here. There we go. And I have now removed the radiator, and that's how you're going to go about doing it. Okay, so we finally got our old radiator out. Now, I'm going to tell you all the stuff you need to know about installing. And before we do that though, I just want to show you, here's our nice little leak we found. There's a crack right here on the plastic side. And that's where our leak was. So, when you go to install your new radiator, first you're going to have your new radiator here. And we're going to have all these plastic kind of things hooked up to make sure nothing goes inside the radiator. So, you're going to want to come over here and just kind of take all the stuff off. That's gonna screw out. This one is gonna take like a wrench or something to take that plastic piece off, and then this one just pops off like that. Another thing, I found shavings of aluminum on the end of this and on the end of that. So what I did, because that cannot be good for your cooling system in any way, it's got to go through the water pump, and I can just see that tearing things up. So what I did was I stood it up and I ran a garden hose and ran water all the way through, just kind of clean it out real well to make sure there's no aluminum shavings in there. I let it run for about 2 minutes or so. So first thing you'll do is, like I said, you're gonna remove all those plastic things, covering everything up, unscrew the stuff. Also, we got a piece right here. It's a little black thing you're just gonna pull, and he pulls right off there. So now, once you get all those off, you'll be ready to connect all your hoses. Another thing is, you want to check your bottom pegs on the radiator you took out. Make sure it didn't pull the rubber thing with it, and if it did, you're going to need to install it on the end of there, or install it down into your car, and then you'll set your new radiator down into those little rubble circles. Now, another piece of advice for when you're hooking your hoses back up to everything is it's not a bad idea to put brand new hose clamps back on. I used to work for a shop, and they would always put brand new hose clamps back on, but while I was taking these hose clamps off, these are really tight, and they're not going to cause any kind of problem, any kind of leak, because they're very effective hose clamps. So that's something you can do if you're one of those OCD or perfectionist people. You can put new hose clamps on. The other thing you want to do is make sure you get your fan shroud and push it all the way back, so it's going to be setting out of your way for when you go to put your new radiator back in. Okay guys, and the last thing you want to do is when you go to put this cover back on, you got these little clips. I'll just show you how these work. They push down in and they'll kind of click in, and then you'll take your little plastic screw and then you'll just stick them in there, and then you'll tighten them all the way down. So that's just kind of giving you an idea of how these little clips work. So with all that said, that concludes today's project. So I thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time. Also guys, one more thing I almost left out there. You want to make sure you take the drain plug there. It's going to look like that guy right there. Take him out and switch him over to your new one when you remove that thing right there. And it may be sitting in your old radiator, and that's because it looks something like this right here, where it kind of squeezes and comes out. But you just kind of wiggle it around and it'll come out there, and then you'll be able to put it in your new radiator.
Thanks for watching guys, and don't forget to subscribe so you can catch all my new videos, which publish Mondays and Fridays at 9 a.m. Pacific time, 10 a.m. Mountain time, 11 a.m. Central time, 12 p.m. Eastern time, and I will see you then.